Security feels safe until you realize it is quietly costing you the life you actually want. Every later life entrepreneur reaches a moment when they have to choose between the comfort of what is and the discomfort of what could be. Now, that choice defines what the next decade looks like. Thank you for listening to Routine is Revenue. This is your place to build routines and bank results. I'm Ildikó Sealey, a routine and performance strategist. I'm also a later life entrepreneur who is currently in the middle of that risk without looking at it, just building anyway. This episode will appeal to you if you are holding on to security that is costing you more than you are admitting. If you are ready to look honestly at what the risk of not moving actually is, let's see what's on offer today. In this routine reset, we look at risk versus security in later life entrepreneurship. Now, if you have not already, please hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Right. Risk versus security is how to reframe what risk actually means at this stage, how to assess what staying safe is genuinely costing you, and how to back yourself when the numbers are uncomfortable. The conventional wisdom says that risk increases with age. The later life is the time to consolidate, to protect, and to avoid exposure. That the window for bold moves has passed. Well, I'm going to challenge that directly. Because what I see in the later life entrepreneurs I work with and interviewed in the podcast and the life I live myself is that the real risk is not the business. It is the unlived version of your lives. Just think of a decade spent in something safe that stopped 15 years ago. Just think of the idea that kept getting postponed until the circumstances were right, or until they never were. Now, almost 2 years ago, I invested heavily in myself and then a bit more again. But I planted a seed and slowly a tree has grown from it. And now it's showing signs of fruit. And that fruit needs to ripen. That is still taking effort and resources, but giving up is not an option. And I also know that staying in the wrong version of your life for too long, just because it felt safer, is just a different kind of loss. Now, navigating risk versus security in later life entrepreneurship requires honest accounting, not just financial, but personal. But the first piece is indeed financial. What are you investing? Over what time frame? What does a sustainable runway look like? Being clear on this prevents the kind of vague anxiety that makes every cost feel catastrophic. It may sound obvious, but when you know the numbers, then you can make informed decisions. And the second piece is indeed personal. What is the security you are holding on to actually giving you? Now, if the answer is comfort without fulfillment, that's important data. Security that is costing you your direction is not security. That is a slow tax on your potential. Then there is the third piece, identity, which we covered in Routine Reset 8 on identity shift. Later life entrepreneurs often held on to old version of security. Being employed, being certain, getting externally validated, because the new version of themselves has just not fully arrived yet. Now, backing yourself financially requires backing yourself as the person who is building something, and backing yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally to sustain that decision. As with energy capacity in Routine Reset 15, the goal is not to take reckless risks, it's to take intentional risks, with your eyes wide open and your systems in place. You see, the biggest risk I ever took was not even financial. It had implications, but it was personal. Staying in my first marriage felt like the safe option for far too long. My ex-husband had no ambition by his own admission, and I eventually realized that if I stayed, I would never achieve what I was capable of. That was the wake-up call. Leaving was the hardest decision of my life, but also the most important one. Since then, I achieved so much. 2 degrees, podcasts, 3 businesses, new marriage. I'm fitter and healthier than I've ever been, doing what I always wanted to do all my life, to teach and to be famous. So I'm choosing not to go into detail about that period out of respect for everyone involved, but the principle stands. The risk that feels unbearable in the moment is often the one that makes everything else possible. You see, the security that keeps you small is not even security. It's a ceiling that you set yourself. So what if that so-called security wins? You stay within what is manageable, what is certain, what is safe, But how about 5 years from now? You are still there, still safe, and still wondering. The risk that does not get taken doesn't disappear, it just becomes the opportunity that was not pursued, the business that was not built, or the version of yourself that stayed theoretical. For later life entrepreneurs, the cost of inaction is not abstract. You see, the window for building something meaningful is not even unlimited. Indeed, the longer you wait, the harder it is to start, but not impossible. Inaction is also a risk. It just doesn't feel like one until it is too late to choose differently. So when do you make the decision you have been postponing? When do you think that circumstances will be perfect? Or when do you consider that the risks will feel smaller? Neither. You need to make those decisions now, with the information you have and the belief that what you are building matters. And if this has named something you've been circling, your next step is simple. Visit routinerevolution.co.uk, where you can find out more about building good health routines into your life that form part of your business infrastructure. Via the website, you can also book a discovery call to explore what decisions you've been putting off and how to expand on that. Please, back yourself. The risk of not trying is greater than you think. And remember, a healthier you makes a wealthier you.